Hey everybody, this is TechNolli, and today, yes, we have another Gigabyte Z390 Designare i9-9900K. I did this build for a channel subscriber. Beautiful fractal case, and I've got an update on the Gigabyte Z390 Designare. And we are doing Opencore 05.9 on this one. Okay, so it's going to be updated for all you guys that are running this, or if you're going to redo your EFI folder, which I don't really think is necessary, but for all you guys building a new Designare, this video is for you. So let me turn this around. I'm going to show you the inside of this. We've got 64 gigs of RAM on this. We've got water cooling with the fractal water cooler right there, the radiator, a 3-fan radiator. We've got a 5700 Nitro Sapphire graphics card in here. We've got our little Fenvi for Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And we've got a little case fan on the back that comes with this fractal case. This is super, super nice. Nice build for anybody wanting to use it for anything. Video editing, audio, a daily driver, whatever you want to do. Now let me show you the back. Okay, get a good look at this. We've got all of our I/O on the motherboard right here. And let me tell you an update, guys, on using the onboard graphics on this motherboard. Well, guess what? When they came out with Catalina 10.15.5, the onboard graphics no longer works. So if you're having that issue, you're not using a graphics card, you want to go back to Catalina 10.15.4 or Mojave or something else until we get it resolved. Hopefully we'll get it resolved. Anyways, here we are. Super nice. There's our Fenvi. It's got a big EVGA power supply on this one. Took a long time to get it, but Newegg came through on it. So, nice, nice, nice. All right, guys. So I'm going to show you the Opencore 0.5.9 on this one. So you can build your own EFI if you wish to, or just use mine. Let's get started. Okay, everybody, let's get started on building the EFI folder for this Gigabyte Z390 Designare. So let's go right to the internet, and we are going to go to the TechNolli website. All right, technolli.com. Okay, so we'll go over here to EFI downloads. And right here, we're going to download what we need. I've got everything organized here, links to the different things that we need. So let's go to Opencore. And here's our newest version, which is 5.9. And we're going to download the release version. Okay. All right, let's go back. We're also going to need Property. So we'll download this. And we're going to need, let's see, Mount EFI. All right, and so that's all we need for right now, okay? Now, I'm presuming you have already made your bootloader, okay? And let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, so I put in my USB stick here that's already done. It's a vanilla USB stick. It has the Mac OS on it. So it's ready for us to go. But I'm going to show you real quick how you do that. So just get a blank USB stick. So I'm going to use this one right here. We'll go up here and go to Utilities. And we'll go to Disk Utility. And then we want to, right here under View, we want to show all devices. Click that little down arrow. And here is my USB stick right here. And all we want to do is just click Erase and name it USB and make sure you leave it macOS Extended Journal and GUID partition map, and click Erase. Okay, so we're done with that. Now it's right up here and it's just named USB. So what we have to do is we have to go over here. If you don't already have the Catalina in your applications folder right here, install macOS Catalina, then we have to download it. Okay, so just go to Google and type in download Mac OS Catalina right there. And then you can get it right here. Okay, this says upgrade because it already sees it, but you just download it right here. Once you download it, it's going to put it right in here in your applications folder, and it'll be right there. Then we're going to go to the web and we're going to type in make a USB bootable Mac. All right, we'll click on here where it says Apple support, and we just want to grab this line of text right here for Catalina. All the way, volumes, and then /. You don't need my volume. All right, just copy that, then go up here to Spotlight, type in terminal, enter, then just simply paste that text into here, but then we need to add USB to the end of this text because that is what we called our stick. All right, hit enter, put in your password, enter, and then just hit the Y to say yes and start to make your vanilla USB bootloader. Okay, so once that's done, and it will take probably about 20 minutes, then we're going to have our install macOS Catalina vanilla USB stick ready to go. All right, so I'm going to put my one that's ready to go in, and we'll continue on. Okay, so here it is. If you double click on it, you're going to see that the install macOS Catalina files are right here. Okay, now in all of those files we downloaded, let's just go over here to downloads and let's just put this stuff on the desktop. It's just going to be easier for you guys to see what's going on. All right, so we have Mount EFI, we have Proprietary Master, and we have the Opencore files. So first thing I want you to do is double click on this Mount EFI, then right click on Mount EFI.command and then open. All right, it's going to bring up this little window here, and we want to mount the hidden partition that is on this USB stick. So we're going to just press 1, enter, put in your password, and now I've got the hidden EFI partition right here. All right, so we're done with that. Now, we double click on this and there's nothing inside. So we'll go over here to the Opencore folder, and I want to drag this EFI folder into my EFI partition on the USB stick. And then double click on EFI, double click on OC, and then go back over here to Docs and grab this sample plist and drag it into here. And then let's just rename it config. Okay, .plist. All right, so now we're moving along. Now while we're here, let's go into Tools, and we can just delete all of these items, make it a little cleaner boot. Okay, and then Drivers. If you want to have a graphical boot up menu instead of text, then we want to keep Opencanopy.efi, and then we can get rid of everything else. I'm going to show you how to do the graphical boot up. All right, so let's move everything to the trash except Open Runtime and Opencanopy. All right, so we'll grab all these and get rid of those. Move them to the trash. All right, cool. We need to download resources from the Opencore website. Okay, so we'll go over to Opencore, and we want to come down here to the bottom where it says adding GUI to our bootloader. How do we beautify our Opencore bootloader? Okay, so what we need to do is we need these binary resources. So we go over here and just download this package. Okay, all right, so now we can go over here. Let's go ahead and minimize this. We'll go over here to downloads, and here is our binary data, and we need to take this resources and put it into our EFI OC right into here, and just copy over and replace. Okay? And that's about 100 megabytes of stuff, so it takes a little while to transfer. So under here now, under like fonts, we have fonts, and we have our images that are going to show up in our bootloader and everything, so we're good to go. All right, now under ACPI we have nothing. We have to build our SSDTs, and under KEX we have nothing. We have to gather those. So let's get started with that. Let's go back over to the Opencore website. We're now at the step where we are gathering files. So click on Gathering Files, and we'll go down here, and we need this hfsplus.efi. So let's go ahead and download that. All right, let's go back. Let me see, I can get rid of this. Let's go back, and we're going to need KEX. All right, for any system that we're going to Hackintosh, we're going to need virtual SMC. I'll grab the release version. We're going to need Lilu, and we'll grab the release version. Now, if you notice, guys, these files are only 16 days old. So that's why I am not providing them for you on my website, because I want you to use the latest versions. All right. Okay, so we're done with that. We're done with that. We'll go back over here. We need, for graphics, whatever green. Download that. And we need Apple ALC for our audio. We'll download that. Okay, let's see what else we need. Okay, now this particular motherboard has two Ethernet controllers. It has a i9-9900K, which is Intel Mousy. We'll grab this one. And it also has an i211, and that is this small tree Intel KEX that we need. All right, so we'll grab this one. Okay, so now we are pretty much done with that. So let's just go out of here, and let's go over to our downloads, and let's start getting everything ready. Here are our KEX that we need to put in our EFI folder, our OC into our KEX folder. Okay, so let's just drag and drop. So here's my small tree. I'll put that in here. Here's Intel Mousy, just the KEX. That's all we need. Here's Apple ALC. And here is whatever green. Just want the KEX. Okay, let's go back. Lilu. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, virtual SMC KEX, and I'm just going to grab that and put it over here. Okay, now guys, here is the hfsplus.efi. That is actually a driver. So let's go back. Let's go to our drivers folder, and let's put it in here. Perfect. So we are done with that. Okay, so let's go back over to the Opencore website and continue on with our Coffee Lake. So right here is your different chipset motherboards that Opencore is so kind to give us instructions on. So we have a Coffee Lake. We're going to click on there. We're done with the starting point. So we're going to go to APCI, and we need these 4 SSDTs. Okay? Now, they've made it so simple for us. So it brings us here, and they've made this so much easier for us. It's really unbelievable. So go right over here to pre-built SSDTs. And right here, these are the ones we need. So here we have power management. We need SSDT plug for Haswell chipsets or newer. So we definitely need this. We'll download this one. Let's go back. We need for desktops, for embedded controllers, we need this SSDT EC-USB-X. We'll download that one. All right. If you're doing laptops and stuff, they have everything right here. It's very cool. Backlights. Now, for the Z390 and Z370 motherboards, most of the 300 chipset motherboards, we need this SSDT AWAC. And we'll download that one. And then we need one more. We need for our NVRAM, we need this one. And this is needed to bring back NVRAM support for Z390 or newer. Do not use on Z370 or older boards. And the Z490 seem not to need this, okay? So, let's grab it because we need it for this board and download it. That is so wonderful. They have made our life even easier than before. So let's go back over here to downloads. And let's move this over here. We're going to go back to our EFI partition, our EFI folder, our OC, and ACPI, where we can just grab these puppies and just put them into here. And wow, that is awesome. So we're done. We're done with ACPI. So now we're going to use property to edit our config.plist. So just double click on the property folder, then right click and open property.command. Then go up to File, Open, and go to your EFI right here. Okay, we're going right there to our folder, to OC, and to config.plist, and open it up. Now, we got a little bit of work to do, but this is pretty easy, guys. Going to make this painless for you. All right? We'll minimize all this, just clean it up here a little bit. Okay, let's go back over to Opencore Coffee Lake chipset, and as we can see right here, we are done with these SSDTs, so we're good to go. I'm going to move this over here so we can get our config.plist right next to it, so we can run down and check all of these settings. Now on here, we can go ahead and clean this config.plist up a little bit, and we can remove these little warnings. All right, just cleaning it up. That's all we're doing. Okay, so we're done with ACPI. So let's move on down here. Now, you'll notice right here that this is not the SSDs that we just installed. So the first thing we need to do is we need to do what's called an OC snapshot. So what we do in property is go to File and go OC snapshot. Then just make sure you're on the correct EFI and EFI folder, OC, and then just click Choose, and all of the files that are in our EFI folder, OC, all of the SSDTs, all of our drivers, and all of our KEX have just now been embedded into our config.plist. Okay, here's small tree, Intel Mousy. So that just did a ton of work for us. All right, so we'll just go here, and to make sure that these SSDTs are turned on, let's just go to File, OC Clean Snapshot, and choose. And now it just cleaned it up and turned on our SSDTs. So let's move on to the good stuff. All right, so we're done with this. So we're going to go down here and we're going to find Booter. All right, so just keep scrolling up until you find Booter. Here's Booter. And we want to go down here where it says Quirks. And we want to verify that these quirks are set up the same as in our config.plist. Well, we can see that there are some that are not. So yes equals true, and no right here equals false on our config.plist. So if you notice here, these first two are supposed to be turned to true. So I'm going to go ahead and double click and click true. So right here, it tells us under our devirtualize memo that we're using the Z390, and it requires protection UEFI services to be enabled. So right here, we want to go down here while we're thinking about it, right here, and turn this to true to turn that on for our Z390. Okay, so we'll go past here. We'll go down to Provide Custom Slide. Provide Custom Slide needs to be true. And then we have our Rebuild Apple Memory Map, true. And Set up Virtual Map, true. And then we need to take note that Sync Runtime Permissions needs to be true. Okay, so device properties. As I told you in the beginning of this video, the onboard graphics on this particular system will not work with Catalina 10.15.5. So I'm going to skip this, or newer probably, but we don't know yet. I'm going to skip adding anything in here for the iGPU. Once we get it resolved, I will provide a new config.p list on my website that will include the iGPU. But for right now, we're using a graphics card, so we can skip this for now. All right, so we'll go down here till we get to kernel right here, and here is kernel. And we'll come down here, and we want to find, again, quirks. All right, so just scroll down till you see quirks. Right here they are. Okay, so the first two on this one need to be true. And this is because most of our Z390, pretty much most of our boards nowadays, the newer boards, we cannot turn off CFG lock. So this is a workaround. If we turn these two on, then we can assume that CFG lock is enabled, but this will turn it off for us. Okay, let's go down to Disable Low Mapper right here. That needs to be set to true. And that's for VTD. Okay, let's go down here. Panic No Kex Dump needs to be true. And then the next one needs to be true as well. And right down here, the port limit, we're going to set this to true. Okay, we did do port mapping on this motherboard, so the USB ports are working properly. All right, so let's move on to miscellaneous. Right here's miscellaneous, right here's miscellaneous. So we come down here and we want to use that graphical bootloader, so we're going to change picker mode to external. All right, there we go. Now we're going to be able to have our graphical interface when we boot up. Okay, right here's debug. Okay, so the first one, it enables boot EFI logging, useful for debugging. We don't need to turn this on because everything is working properly, so we don't need to check for any debugging. And also on the next one, the Apple Panic, we don't need to turn on either because we don't need to log it. Now, disable Watchdog, we need to enable or turn it on. And then come down here to target, and it says to change it to 67, but I don't want boot logs in my EFI. And a friend Marcus told me, all you do is set this to 3 and it turns off all the boot logs that go into our EFI. So that's awesome. All right, let's move on. Let's move on down here to security. Right here, security. And we want to turn on allow NVRAM, allow set default. Let's see what else we have to change in here. We got to come down here to scan policy and set that to 0, and then set vault to optional. Okay, and hit enter. All right, we're almost done. So let's go down here to NVRAM right here. And what we need to do is set up some boot arguments, okay? And it's always a good idea, guys, when you are installing the operating system to show the verbose mode, which is all the text when you're booting up a Hackintosh. So that's what this -V is. It's going to show us that text. So if you get stuck somewhere, you're going to be able to tell somebody or go on a forum or get in touch with me and tell me where your screen is stuck. Okay? But we need to add some more boot arguments. So we're going to go ahead and double click right here and put a space between each boot argument. Okay, we got to add this one right here. Debug. So we'll copy that one and paste it right there. And then another space, and we need this little boot argument for our audio. And we'll put it in here. Now, if you are using a 5000 series card, like a 5700, a 5500 Radeon, then you need to add this right here, this Picora, to the boot arguments, okay? Or it won't work. I am using, you'll get a black screen actually. I am using a 5700. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to put it in here after this ALCID equals 1 with a space, and then there we go. It's in there. I'll show you right there. Hit enter, and then we are done with that. Now right here we have preferred language. Right now it's set to Russian. That's what this text is right here. This is English. If you click on here, it takes you to all of the different languages that you can put in there. So very cool information. So we'll go back, and I'm going to grab these characters for English, copy, and just paste it into here and hit enter. Okay, so we're done with all of that. Everything is good until we get down here to platform info. So let's just move along. Platform info. Now, by default, this system product name is set up correctly for us, which is i9-9900K. So we're good. Now, it talks about changing your serial numbers, your board numbers, and your UUID, and I always do that after the install, and I'll show you in this video. Okay, so we'll just continue down here, and all of this information, guys, is fine until we get down here to UEFI. Right here's UEFI, and right now we can see that it's telling us to look for those drivers, and here are those drivers. And also I've included this Opencanopy driver for our graphic boot menu. All right, so that is it. We are done. So what we want to do is go to File and Save. That saves all of the changes that we made in this thing. And now we can go to our BIOS in the computer, set up the BIOS correctly. I'll show you on this one, and then we'll do a quick install. Okay? All right, let's get into the BIOS. Okay, guys, so we're tapping that delete key to get into the BIOS. Okay, first thing you want to do is go over to Favorites. And you want to come down here to where it says CSM Support and make sure it's disabled. Then go down to VTD and make sure it's disabled. And then arrow over to Tweaker and come down here to Extreme Profile, Memory Profile, and make sure it's not disabled. You want it to be profile number 1, and that will then inject the correct speed of your RAM. Then we'll go over to Settings. We don't need to worry about platform power. We'll leave it by default. We'll go to I/O ports. We can see that we have our graphics card plugged into PCIe slot 1. Everything else here is fine. I have disabled the onboard Wi-Fi because it's not supported. And I have my Fenvi card in there for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. On Intel, we need to enable, or preferably enable, above 4G decoding. And then under Thunderbolt for this, we need to, of course, have it enabled. We need to have security level set to no security. And then discrete Thunderbolt, both of these need to be enabled. Okay, we can go back hitting escape. All right, USB config, enable the top 3, and we're good there. Network stack, disabled. Everything else is fine by default. We come over to boot, really simple. fast boot is disabled. And we come down here to Windows 8/10 features and select Windows 8 10 WHQL. And then right here, CSM Sport is showing disabled like it was. All right. So we save and exit and say yes. And then we're going to come up and we're going to press the F12 key to go to our boot menu because I want to make sure that I choose the USB stick. Okay, so there's my USB stick, my SanDisk, partition 1. I hit enter. We're going to come up here to install macOS external, hit enter. We'll go through a lot of text and then we'll come up to the format screen and we'll be right back. Okay guys, coming up here. We're going to come up here and grab our disk utility. Okay, so that just takes a second or two to get across the screen. We'll come here to disk utilities, click continue. We want to go here where it says view and this arrow and show all devices. Okay, now I have right here this generic external that I'm going to use because I've already installed the macOS on this and I've already installed Windows, so I don't want to erase it. So I'm going to come here to this external. I'm going to erase it. I'm going to call it Cat Z390. Okay. And then we're going to choose APFS up here and GUID partition map and erase it. Okay, done with that. We'll X out of here, go to install macOS, continue. Continue. Agree and agree. And I'm going to choose my drive right there that I just named and click install. And this will take about 4 or 5 minutes. It'll get down to 2 minutes remaining. And then it's going to reboot. So we'll be right back, guys. Okay, it just rebooted on its own. And we're going to come up here to the picker. And it's going to default to macOS installer and continue on. Okay, coming back up. Let's see what it does here. Okay, guys, so it's up here and it's continuing the installation. And it'll take about 10, 15 minutes. And it'll go completely across the screen. So we'll come back when it gets close to the end. Okay, guys, getting down to it. It says about 1 minute remaining. So we're going to do an auto reboot again. And we'll come up and we'll see the picker and we'll choose what we named our hard drive. Okay, there it goes. So we're going to come up here to the boot menu again and we'll continue on. Okay, now by default it will pick the drive that we are installing to, and that right now is our Cat Z390. So we'll just continue on and we'll get up here to the final part of the install. Okay, guys, we're coming up here. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick our country. Well, US. Continue, continue. And we have our Fenvi card in there, so we can just go ahead and click on our Wi-Fi device. Put in our password and continue. Continue. I don't want to transfer anything. You definitely do not want to sign into your Apple ID right now because we haven't changed serial numbers. So we'll set up later and skip. Agree and agree. And we can give it a name and we need a password. All right, continue. Customize, I like to do set up location services and I turn off analytics. Continue. Continue. I don't need Siri. Continue. And I'm going to choose auto and continue. And there we go. Continue. Identify my keyboard, and we are done. There we go, guys. We are done with that. So let's go back over. Let's go over to the TechNolli website. And we will go to downloads, and we'll download Mount EFI. We're going to need that on our new build here. And we're going to download, let's see here, Gen SM BIOS, so we can change our serial numbers. I'll show you how to do this real quick. Okay, so let's go to downloads and choose our mounter. Right click on Mount EFI.command. And we want to choose number 1, which is our USB stick that we just installed everything with. So we'll press 1, put in our password, and then we also want to open the EFI partition on number 4, which is our hard drive. So we'll press number 4 and hit enter. Okay, now we're done with this. And we can go over here. Here's our EFI, and there's our EFI folder. Now we want to go over here to our EFI hidden partition on our hard drive. And what we need to do is copy this EFI to here and replace it. Now that we're done with that, let's change the serial numbers. Okay? Go back to our downloads and go to Gen SM BIOS, right click on GenSMBIOS.command and open. And then we simply press 1 to install. And then when it says done, hit enter. And then 2, and what it wants to know here is, where is our config.plist? Well, we'll come over here to computer. There's our EFI. There's our folder. There's OC. And we'll just drag this config.plist into here, hit enter. Press number 3 to generate SM BIOS. Now the product for this, if you'll remember, is i9-9900K. And hit enter. And it just injected our serial numbers and UUID numbers into this config.plist. Now it won't take effect until we reboot, so let's go ahead and reboot, and I want to show you that graphical boot up menu. And there it is, guys. Right here is our graphical interface now. If any of you are used to Clover, you know this looks very similar to that. So I can choose Windows, dual boot it. There we are. And then I can go right out of Windows, restart. Go back to our graphical picker and go over here to Mac OS. And now we're booting our Mac. So here we go, guys. This is a nice setup. We've got the Gigabyte Z390 Designare. And we've got Windows installed on here. We've got Mac OS installed on here. Very stable. We've got Bluetooth right here. And I'll go ahead and turn on my little Apple mouse to show you that. And there we are. Our mouse is connected. All right, so there we go. So guys, what do you think about this one? This is the most up-to-date for the Gigabyte Z390 Designare motherboard. This is Opencore 0.5.9 and running really smooth with Catalina 10.15.5. And we are good to go, guys. So I really appreciate you watching this video. I thank you for subscribing to my channel. I appreciate all the views tremendously. If you need any tech help, I do have paid support on the TechNolli.com website. And we'll get you up and running. So we'll see you guys on the next video.